let's start. Mock exam 3 for abnormal psychology. Okay, so the question number 1 is, the stress model of vulnerability to schizophrenia proposes that, tinatanong lang kung ano yung stress model. This is a very easy question. Letter A. No? So, some people have predisposition. Ayun yung diastasis natin. And then, if exposed to certain stress, yun yung stressor part ng stress model. Okay. So yung ibang item dyan ay it's not a complete description of the model. No? Yung ibang item will just tell you about the diastasis, yung iba naman will just tell you about the stress part. So pinaka-kompleto will be letter A. How about yung number 2? Disorders involve single psychotic symptom of false belief. Alam niyo naman yung false belief ay delusions, di ba? Pero ang nakalagay, single psychotic symptom. Okay? So, the best diagnosis or the best disorder that will fit that will be more of letter C. No? Kasi di ba ang delusional disorder, they center only on a very specific narrative or storyline or a certain delusion lang. So that will be the best fit for the definition. No? Number 3, which type of schizophrenia is characterized by incoherence, looseness of association, inappropriate affect, and haphazard behavior? Number 3, its letter, the disorganized type. Okay, so yung number 3, may pagka DSM-40 ang tanong. Okay, dahil nga, alam niyo naman, in DSM-5, wala na itong mga subcategories of schizophrenia. No? So, but of course, you still need to know them because probably in the board exam, baka DSM-4 pa rin nilabas. We don't know. Let's just see. But at least you're prepared. Okay? Number 4, why is confidentiality important? O, diba? Outside yung question, outside exam, pero nagtatanong about confidentiality. Of course, it's important with the interview process. Number 4 is letter A. To feel comfortable disclosing intimate details about themselves, of course. No? So, ibig sabihin, the idea that this interview is private and confidential actually also helps you to establish the rapport with your client. Of course, that's part and parcel of you starting your interview with your clients. Okay, so that's the best answer here. 5. For the past 3 months, Tom's speech has been gradually deteriorating, becoming incoherent, has been exhibiting purposeless and stereotype behaviors. His symptoms at this point are not extremely active. No? In what phase? Number 5, it's letter prodromal. Para may ganitong tanong na last time. Tama ba? Yung not extremely active, di ba? So it's a repeated question. If I'm not mistaken, baka magkaiba rin yung context ng tanong. Pero you know already the differences and which signs and symptoms will appear for each of these phases. We're talking about the phases of the disorder, the development of the disorder. So you know already which of the possible signs and symptoms. Most of the DSM-5 criteria, most of the DSM-5 signs and symptoms that you look into a certain disorder are actually on the active phase already, remember? And then the early signs and symptoms are actually in the prodromal phase. And then most of the negative symptoms, especially if we're talking about schizophrenia and then you treat that, natira yung mga negative symptoms, there are some clients who are like that. Of course, they might be on the residual phase. And you also have a remission phase wherein most of the symptoms are gone, either partial or full remission. It's good if it's full remission, you don't have any of the signs and symptoms, the client is good to go, functioning already. Pero sometimes it's partial remission lang, so please remember those information. Baka magbigay kasi na situation, tapos alamin nyo nasa phase na siya. And it's also important for psychometrician to know what phase is your client is. Kasi sa recommendation, nakalink din yun doon. Diba? Remember yung levels of prevention? You have a question previously about levels of prevention. No? So nakalink din yan. Kung nasa prodromal phase ka pa lang, then probably, kung nasa prodromal phase ka, secondary prevention na din yun. Kasi you don't want to aggravate the symptoms further into acute phase. Pero kung wala pa talagang symptom, probably ang recommendation mo is on the first level. You prevent the client from having any of the signs and symptoms. Pag naman nandun ka sa relapse prevention, nasa remission phase ka, so tertiary prevention ka. So, sabihin, kung alam niyo yung phase ng client niyo, ma-customize niyo yung recommendation niyo sa assessment based on phase na siya, di ba? So number 6, individuals with anterograde amnesia suffer memory loss due to letter new events. Okay? Pag retrograde, yun yung mga dati ng information or dati na nasa memory niya ang nakakalimutan or nahihirapang i-retrieve. Okay? Number 7, aphasia is defined as the loss of ability to, this is very obvious, letter A. Use that wedge. Alam niyo naman yung letter B, it's what? Letter B is, if you're talking about yung classic na 4A symptoms ng dementia or yung description for dementia, yung letter B, recognized familiar object, probably is agnosia. Loss of ability to carry out verbal instruction. So the idea here is not on the verbal, but on the instruction. I mean, you cannot carry out the instruction. So this is a concern about executive functioning. Hindi siya aphasia. And then learn of remember events, that's the amnesia part. Ayan. Sino yun? May interference. Loss of ability to control. Bahala kayo dyan. Number 8. Hindi nila alam doon. Hindi nila narinig eh. Bata dito sa side na doon. Pag ako nahimatay dito, pag may nalangap ako dito. Number 8. Sana hindi na-capture sa audio naman. Sana naman ang audio nito. Hindi naman ganun high definition. Number 8. Researchers studying adults with ADHD have found that many experience what? Number 8, ano yan? Of course, the idea with ADHD is that they have comorbidities, right? So malamang sa malamang, the best answer is letter A. No? Number 8, it's letter A. No, either substance use or certain addiction, o baka may iba pang other things. Depende na lang sa situation ng client. Okay? So, mali yung letter boy kasi nga, di ba, the mere fact that the client with ADHD cannot even focus, cannot even achieve better academic outcomes. So, apektado rin yun in letter B. Even with letter C and D. No? Higher cognitive distractibility nga ang ADHD. So, mali yan. Number 9, if the correlation between severity of depression and age is 0.05, assuming lang na ang correlation niya is 0.05, ano ibig sabihin nun? Number 9 is, ano sagot nyo? Dog. 0.05 ang R eh. The correlation, no? Hindi naman niya sinabi the p-value. Kasi kung p-value is 0.05, alam niyo, significant yun. Pero sabi niya the correlation eh. So, we're assuming this is the R statistic. I'm assuming it's the Pearson's R. Pero generically speaking, kung correlation coefficient is 0.05 lang, that's no relationship. Number 10, in role-playing situation, subjects in paranoid personality disorder generally interpret ambiguous behavior as 10-letter boy hostile. Siyempre nga naman, di ba? Yun nga ang concern ng mga clients with paranoid PD, di ba? They feel that some people are plotting something against them. They have certain certain assumptions, and if the behavior of people around them is ambiguous or not consistent or something that they cannot understand, they will automatically explain it as something against them. No? So yun. Number 11, although those with paranoid PD often are deeply suspicious, their suspicion usually do not, 11, become delusional. So yun ang isa sa pinagkaiba ng paranoid PD dun sa ibang mga delusional disorders or clients who can have delusions. These suspicions are not fixed, or they are not they don't linger for a long time. No? And if a certain information will be given to them to disprove that suspicion, they will at least some of them for some time they will embrace that explanation and just go away with the suspicion. Pero a certain information again, then they can become suspicious again. Pero pag delusional, talagang kahit ano explain mo, they will not believe you, or they will still hold to their delusion. Okay? Number 12, what type of panic attack is an essential element of the diagnosis of panic disorder? Number 12, it's unexpected, letter 2. Of those who suddenly pass out, that's actually the panic disorder incident. No? 13. The most effective anti-anxiety medication are called. Number 13, letter C, benzodiazepine. Of course, probably and hopefully there will be no questions in the board exam regarding medications. But at least as a psychometrician, you should actually know what are these medications called. No? At least kahit hindi nyo alam yung side effect, alam nyo kung anong tawag. So anti-anxiety medications, so yung mga anxiolytics, benzodiazepine are one of them. Okay. Yung neuroleptics ay kabilang yan sa mga antipsychotic medications. No? Neuroleptics or yung mga tranquilizers. Pero kasi yung tranquilizers are more generic in nature. Some people will say, okay, tranquilizer, pero nasa isip nila Valium. And Valium is an anxiolytic. So, technically speaking, when we're talking about medication, pag antipsychotic medication, those are generally given to clients with schizophrenia. Anxiolytics, they are technically given to clients with anxiety disorders, but can also be given to other clients who need to be calmed down at a certain situation. Okay? So amphetamines, alam niyo naman, this is addicting. But there are certain medications, for example, Ritalin, yung binibigay sa mga clients with ADHD, they are amphetamine-based. So, okay, 14. Which behavioral technique is often successful in the treatment of panic disorder with agoraphobia? 14, it's letter C, relaxation training. Of course, that's generally speaking, all of the anxiety disorder will benefit from relaxation techniques. So that would be the best answer in number 14. Which theoretical perspective views the causes of phobia, for number 15, to be based on individuals' faulty inference? Of course, kung faulty inferences at generalization, you're talking about cognitive perspective. Dinefine lang niya, alam niya na yan. 16. Cognitive behavioral therapists would treat an individual with GAD by, ano gagawin niya? Kasi tinasabi cognitive behavioral therapist. So kung number 16 dapat ang sagot nyo ay A. Teaching to recognize, change anxiety, producing thoughts. Obvious na to, the question is leading. 17. Panic disorder in women is associated with what early childhood experience? 17. It's letter A. No? Parental illness, substance abuse. Now, the idea about number 17 is that panic disorder, given that one of the core symptoms is anxiety. So given that you have a parental illness, probably during the time that you are being conceived, and then substance abuse also by the parents, this can actually affect certain regulatory systems in your body. Specifically yung tinatawag na HPA axis, yung hypopituitary adrenal axis. It dictates something about the sympathetic response of the body. So children children who are conceived by their parents or by their mothers who took substances that can either yung mga nagda-drugs, yung mga parents na nagda-drugs or alcohol abuse, etc. There might be a change in how the HPA axis will work, such that the threshold can be lowered. So ang mangyayari, mas madali silang ma-anxious. There's a tendency for that. Okay? So letter A would be the best answer in number 17. So that's actually one of the biological explanation when it comes to anxiety disorder. That a certain traumatic experience or repeated exposure to a certain stressor can actually change certain dynamics in your in the HPA axis or in the sympathetic response of the person. Okay? So alam niyo naman yung letter B, overachieving school performance. Well, you can take it as a positive, pero probably you can link it with anorexia nervosa and other things. Even overindulgence. Overindulgence by parental figures, saan ito posibleng mali? Ito yung mga na-spoiled, di ba? Overindulgence. So, probably more about gambling, alcohol abuse, any of the addiction. Wala naman siguro sumagot ng supportive family environment kasi dapat yung letter D is positive outcome yan, di ba? So, hindi dapat sagot yung letter to. Okay? 17, letter A. 18. Johnny is a chronic alcoholic with dementia. He also has difficulties remembering past events and forming new memories. Okay? So 18, it's letter DO, Korsakoff syndrome. Okay? So a client who abused substance, who abuse alcohol, yung mga chronic alcohol users natin, they can experience this Korsakoff syndrome, and also yung isa yung Wernicke's disease. So both and sometimes they combine into what you call the Wernicke's Korsakoff syndrome. Okay? So ang features ng Korsakoff syndrome, ayan, it's more about the memory. While the Wernicke's disease will be more about some bodily symptoms related to the withdrawal with alcohol. So combine that into two, and you have a jam-packed client who has a lot of concerns in their body. Okay, and because the Wernicke's disease have certain bodily concerns regarding withdrawal symptoms, sometimes the client can also lead into what you call delirium tremens. By the term itself, the client can go into a delirium. Because ano nangyari? Kasi nga dahil sa sobrang daming chronic alcohol users, they're really predisposed to withdrawal symptoms. So pag nawala yung alcohol, matindi yung withdrawal symptoms nila. To the point na pwede silang parang kala mo mamatay na. When the client enters that delirium tremens, some of them may even go into coma or even die in the process. So delikado yun. It's an emergency scenario. Okay? So those are some of the worst case scenario that will happen. Okay? Kaya nga in the literatures, if you are reading intently your books or even some of the manuals, the problem in alcoholism is not just a psychological problem, but it's a medical problem also. Okay? Some of the clients, hindi pala some, most of the clients will be will enter the healthcare system not because of their psychological concerns. Kasi sino ba naman ang adik ang pupunta sa center? Mapapagamot na ako, I'm addicted, I want to change. Bihira yun, no? Kapag meron nun, that's very good. That's very good for that line. Pero bihira yun. Most of the time, they will enter the healthcare system because of some side effects or may nararamdaman na sila, na-ER sila kasi yung withdrawal symptoms na naman din. Okay. So, bago ka mag-implement ng psychological interventions, ayusin mo muna yung medical concerns. Okay. So, number 19. Oh. Which treatment program is heavily grounded in spirituality? Number 19 is letter A, Alcoholics Anonymous. And as you can see, meron term na tinatawag na detoxification, yung letter D. Yan, isa yan sa mga priority, lalo kapag mayroong withdrawal symptoms ng client. So sometimes, even in rehab setting, kapag ang client talagang malakas ang withdrawal symptoms, walang psychological intervention, more on medical intervention, and one of which will be detoxification. So detoxification is a way for the body to eliminate the substance, addicting substance, and to prevent further withdrawal symptoms. So may mga different techniques on how to do that. Okay. So, number 19 is letter A. Number 20, Shelly expresses intense period of fear and physical discomfort that interfere with her daily living. She may have, 20, best answer is letter B, anxiety disorder. No? So, you need to choose a best answer. Kahit na sabihin mo, sir, wala, di pa naman siya nag-qualify sa DSM-5. You need to choose kasi for the exam scenario. 21. Researchers urge caution before diagnosing a conversion disorder because as many as half of those having conversion disorder turn out years later to have. 21, of course, letter A, true physical illness. Remember, conversion disorder in DSM-4 is called neurological functional symptom disorder. No? Kaya ako gusto ko conversion disorder pa rin tawag sa kanya eh. Neurological functional symptom disorder. Pero dahil nga yung mga symptoms nila may actually be a true illness or a true physical illness, so kailangan talaga maayos ang assessment. Okay. So it's letter A. 22. Which of the following questions would not be part of dissociative disorders interview? So ito mga posible niyong itanong during interview at alam niyo yung clients niyo may dissociative disorder. Would not be part. 22 letter, boy. Kasi yung letter boy, most probably some question yan, hindi sa dissociative identity disorder. Saan yan? Sa mga somatic illness disorder yan. O sa DSM-40R, pain disorder, specifically. So yung letter A, it asks about possible etiology why this is happening. And the letter C is we're trying to deconstruct if there's an incident of switching from the host to alter. And then also with letter D, so obvious na letter B. Number 23, people with depersonalization disorder. 23. Letter boy. Feel as though they are not real. Kasi letter A, more than one personality, DID. Forget details about personal identity. Either dissociative fugue or dissociative amnesia. Depende na lang kung ano. Iba naman din yung letter to. 24. 24. Disorders in which psychological conflicts are translated into physical complaints. Alam niyo na to, 24 letter, dog, somatoform disorder. So mapapansin niyo yan, ang phrasing niya more on DSM-4. Kasi sa DSM-4, somatoform pa ang tawag. Somatoform disorder is the umbrella term. So sa DSM-40R, somatoform disorder, under nun yung somatization disorder, pain disorder, hypochondriasis, conversion disorder, body dysmorphic disorder. Okay. Pero sa DSM-5, na-combine na yung pain disorder, somatization disorder, into somatic illness disorder. And then, number na tayo, 25. Mr. Wall has been seen by many physicians complaining of difficulty swallowing, chest pain, blurred vision. Medical examination yields no basis. Mr. Wall seems to have which somatoform disorder? 25, letter dog, somatization disorder. Bakit siya naging somatization disorder? Kasi, well, regardless whether nag-meet siya sa criteria ng somatization disorder, pero the way the question was phrased already leads you to answer somatization disorder. Kasi ang dami niyang binanggit na kung ano-ano eh. May difficulty swallowing, that's digestive. Diba? Meron siyang chest pain, probably that's more on the circulatory system. Blurred vision, more on the sensory concern. So remember, so somatization disorder ng DSM-40 are marami yan. Maraming klase ng symptoms, signs and symptoms. No? Parang may one concern about sexuality, two gastrointestinal concerns, tapos one sensory concern. Mahalo-halo yun. Para makategorize. So, ibig sabihin, ang clue kapag somatization disorder, pag sama-sama na lahat ng mga somatic symptom, yan. Pero ang pain disorder, talaga nakasentro lang siya dun sa presence of unexplained pain na walang basis on physical explanation. Wala siyang physical explanation, but more on psychological. Okay? Number 26. Which somatoform disorder is characterized by dissatisfaction and delusional preoccupation with the idea that some part of the body, obviously this is body dysmorphic disorder. 26, letter C. While in 27, a man persistently views his mild headaches as an indication he has a brain tumor. So hypochondriasis, 27 dog. The central or core personality in dissociative identity disorder is referred to as 28, the host personality. Okay? So sa DID, may host personality and then there's an alter. Most of the time, the alter knows the host personality, but the host personality do not recognize and they are not self-aware na may mga alter pala sila. Okay? So yun ang kanilang relationship between the two. 29. Connie is relatively unconcerned about the fact that she has suddenly lost all sensation in her left hand. Alam niyo na to, di ba? Ito ay bizarre lack of concern. Ito ay letter C, label indifference. Di ba? Parang ito yung special kind of, special type of inappropriate affect. Remember this? Pero ito, related sa conversion disorder, and this is called the label indifference. 30. A diagnosis of bipolar disorder requires letter B. No? May manic episode. Kaya nga clients with depression, no? 10 years na sila, puro depression ang diagnosis. Pero if there's an incident of a manic episode suddenly appearing, automatic ma-revert into bipolar 1. Yung disorder or yung diagnosis nila. Kumbaga, ibig sabihin, ngayon lang lumitaw, pero mula pa nun, it's more bipolar in nature. Okay? So, number na tayo? 31. Okay, which of the following factors indicates that the suicide case should be viewed as high risk? Siyempre, letter A, elaborate suicide plan. Kasi the more the suicide plan is elaborate or planado, the more na it may be successful. No? So, and the other items dictates that it's not on the high risk, like low suicidal lethality. No? Iinom ng maraming iced tea. Kung mamamatay mo. Okay, obvious na ito. No? Yung mga para-suicidal intent, ito, hindi talaga nila categorically sinasabi gusto nilang mamatay. Ano yung example ng mga para-suicidal event? No, parang yung mga tipong sana bukas huminto na lang ang panahon. Parang gano'n. Okay? O kaya parang sasabi nilang wala namang halaga ang buhay. Gano'n. Hindi nila direct sinasabi na gusto nilang mamatay o magpapakamatay sila. Pero you get the hint already. Okay? So, number na tayo. 32. People with cyclothymic disorder experience chronic, of course, it's letter C. Alterations from dysphoria to hypomania, cyclothymia. Letter C. 33. Dr. Marta is a cognitive behavioral therapist. She is less likely to use which approach? So, alin dito ang hindi cognitive behavioral or least likely linked to cognitive behavioral? 33 letter dog, aversive conditioning. Aversive conditioning is more, what? This is more behavioral in approach. Okay? Alam niyo ba yung aversive conditioning? So, instead of rewards, di ba, merong conditioning na puro rewards para ma-elicit mo yung increase on a certain behavior. Ito naman, i-decrease na yung certain behavior na pangit by introducing punishment. For example, in the US, halimbawa yung mga clients na aggressive, no, pag yung part of their anger management, they place armbands na pwedeng ma-control remotely. So when the client suddenly becomes angry and escalates to a certain aggressive episode, so they will just click a certain button, makukuryente sila bigla. So aversive conditioning. So letter to. Whereas yung letter A, B, and C, lahat yung ginagamit ng cognitive behavioral therapist. So, number 34. Researchers have found that there is a sizable percentage of individuals suffering from depression who also have another psychological disorder. Alin kaya ang pinakamalapit na comorbidity dito? The answer is letter C, anxiety disorder. Tama. Okay, mataas ang comorbidity nilang dalawa. More than the other disorders. Okay. Number 35. Researchers have proposed that the seasonal type of depression may be caused by alteration in biological rhythms. Ang problema dito is about life. 35 is dog. Yung seasonal affective disorder, if you can still remember, the problem there is that these people, hindi sila naaarawan or walang natural lighting. Kaya sa bahay ninyo, importante may natural lighting eh. Itong review venue natin, walang natural lighting, kaya made-depress kayo. Mababa na nga yung score, nakakulong pa tayo dito, no? Ilang buwan tayo, nakaka-depress. So, seasonal affective disorder. Ang ginagawa lang nila, naka-expose lang sila sa light, sa LED light. So, bili kayo flashlight na LED, tapat nyo sa mukha nyo. Habang nag-review, parang tanga lang eh. Sa Pilipinas, hindi uso ito eh. Kasi ang season lang naman natin, araw, ulan, baha. Araw, ulan, baha. So sa atin, ibang, hindi seasonal affective disorder eh. Yung baha yung nakaka-depress eh. 36. Central to early psychodynamic explanation of depression is the notion of 36, letter A, loss at unconscious level. Ito yung tinatawag ng reactivated loss. Whenever a certain person experiences a certain stressor or something, they are reminded of a previous loss. So, nare-reactivate yun. So, from the unconscious, nare-resurface siya to the conscious level. And that's painful. So, depression happens there. Parang nauulit-ulit yung loss. No? 37. People with paranoid PD tend to, obviously, 37, dog. The best answer is dog. Bakit? Kasi yung letter A, become overly dependent. Alam nyo naman, merong specific na personality disorder for that, the dependent personality disorder. Yung criminal acts naman, yan, ginagawa ng most probably antisocial PD. No? Impulsive, of course, marami yan. Posibleng borderline PD. Pero itong letter dog, mas malapit sa paranoid PD simply because they feel that other people will what? Will do something bad to them. Kaya didistansya na lang din sila. O kung hindi man bad, feeling nila yung ibang tao may sinasabi tungkol sa kanila masama. So ayaw nila lapitan yun. Kasi galit na sila doon. Parang ganun yung dating. 38. Chris is very shy 30-year-old woman who usually stays home and doesn't interact with other people. At work, strays away with other people. Chris might be diagnosed suffering from 38. It's the best answer. Avoid that. PD. No? Afraid to talk to anyone, etc. It's letter A. Avoid that PD. That's the nearest. No? 39. Lorraine always needs to be the center of attention. Talks loudly, gesturing wildly, knows of gaining audience. 39. It's letter boy. Histrionic personality disorder. Okay. 40. Psychodynamic explanations of paranoid PD see the disorder as rooted in one's defense mech. So 40. It's letter C. Rationalization. Ang problema sorry. C. Ano bang choices yun dyan? 40. C. Projection. Projection. Sorry. It's not, sana rationalization, okay? It's C. Projection. So the defense mechanism is more of projection. Sometimes, ang sabi dyan, ang creative discussion dyan, or explanation is, they have certain fears, or they have certain, they have low self-esteem, but they project it to other people. Na parang sila yung dahilan kung bakit hindi ako makikipag-interact sa inyo, kasi kayo, nag-isip kayo masama sa akin. Parang ganun. So that's problematic kasi maling-mali yung pagkaka-apply ng defense mechanism. 41. Compared with people with avoidant PD, those with schizoid PD, anong ginagawa? 41, letter A. No, kasi tignan nyo, yung paranoid PD, ayaw niya makihalubilo kasi feeling niya ibang tao may masamang balak sa kanya. Yung avoidant PD naman, ayaw niya makihalubilo kasi takot siyang ma-reject. Yung schizoid naman, ayaw niya makihalubilo kasi wala lang, ayaw lang niya wala siyang interest sa social interaction. Okay. Yung client na depressed, di ba socially withdrawn din yun? Bakit niya ayaw makihalubilo? Sa tingin nyo? Siyempre, wala siyang gana. I mean, depressed siya eh. So, decrease din yung social interaction. Probably part of anhedonia. Probably part of hopelessness. O talagang wala lang siyang gana makipag-socialize. So, ibig sabihin, socially withdrawn person, you need to know the reason why they are socially withdrawn. It can give you a clue to differentiate certain disorders along the way. Okay. Number 42. Researchers studying narcissistic and histrionic personality have reported that Letter B, features of these two disorders overlap. I think we have a question previously na ganito yung tanong. Parang ganito yung idea. The criteria of these two overlaps to the point that the DSM-5 task force wanted to fuse these two into one categorization. Pero pinag-iwalay pa rin nila. 43. Cognitive theories propose that people with obsessive-compulsive personality disorder is letter D. Have their self-worth depend on conforming to an ideal abstract of perfectionism. Obvious naman, huh? So you just check which of the items linked to OCPD. Siguro wala naman sumagot ng letter A. Kasi nga, sa 43. Sa 43, wala sumagot ng letter A. Kasi nga, di ba gusto nila very orderly. Ngayon, kung meron silang hidden wish, tapos parang reaction formation, hindi cognitive yun. Psychodynamic yun. So probably letter A is a psychodynamic explanation. Even with letter boy. Even with letter C. So, A, B, and C are psychodynamic. Letter dog lang cognitive. Diba? 44. A psychologist knows that a client's T80 stories are filled with themes of rage, intense feeling, identity confusion, fears of abandonment. Ano yung 44? A, borderline. No? The question is leading already. 45. Mike has found that he needs to drink 4 or 5 beers to achieve the level of relaxation previously a year ago. Ano yan? Tolerance yan. 45 dog tolerance. Okay? Yung intoxication, that's the effect if you abuse a certain substance. Regardless whether you are addicted to that substance or not. No? That's the intended effect. No? I mean, you get intoxicated. Whereas the tolerance happens when you drink or you use a substance for a long period of time, the body develops certain tolerance, such that the threshold for you to achieve that intoxicating level or the intended effect is much higher already. Kaya mas marami ka nang kailangan inumin. Okay? Ano yung potentiation? Ano yung potentiation? Yung potentiation is two substances or more substances interact to each other and the result is a certain effect. No? For example, I've heard that some people will try to take drugs, no? For example, shabu and cigarettes together. No? Kasi pag they both have a sympathetic response. No? Pero since dahil meron ka ng sigarilyo, konting shabu na lang gagamitin. Makakadepende. Kasi they potentiate. Nakuha niyo point? So, the potentiation effect is that two substances will work hand in hand. They achieve the same effect. Much faster or even much stronger. Okay? So, yan ang problema. Actually, may kabaliktaran yan eh. Meron namang iba ang ginagawa, they cycle to different drugs. For example, magtitake sila ng downer, like ketamine. So, talagang depressed, no? Tapos, tinatimingan nila yun. Ito napanood ko sa TV to eh. They take ketamine and they know how long will it take for the ketamine to achieve its effect on their body. So, naglalagay sila ng malakas na alarm. Tapos kapag nag-alarm na yun, magte-take naman sila ng shabu. Kasi doon sila, alam mo yung sobrang down na down ka na, parang mamamatay ka na. Tapos biglang nagtitake ka na shabu, biglang aakyat ka na naman. Tapos magtitake ulit sila ng downer, bababa na naman. Masarap daw yung effect nun. Try nyo. Sabi, napanood ko sa TV yun eh. Noon pa. Sa club yung gano'n. May timer pa. Parang yung ano yung palabas ni, parang Inception ba yun? Yung nananaginip sila, tapos mag-a-alarm sila para magising sila. Kundi nandun na sila sa ibang dimension. Parang ganun ginagawa nila. Hindi, no? Grabe. Okay. Number 46. Cross-cultural research on patterns of alcohol use and abuse has shown that, it's letter D. Cultural social deprivation contributes to high rates of abuse. No? Yun nga, baliktad pa eh. Diba? There was even a history in the US wherein may total ban ng alcohol. No? Ano ang tawag nila doon sa period na yun? Nakalimutan ko yung tawag. Pero there was a period somewhere around 1930s wherein bawal ang alcohol. Although coinciding, pero may specific na tawag eh. No? Kasi at that time, a lot of the seats in their Congress are taken by people who are Catholics. So, napag-desisyon na ng Congress nila na i-ban yung alcohol altogether. So, nag-increase yung black market ng alcohol. Tapos, ang ginawa ng mga tao, pati ng mga ibang politiko na ayaw nila ng gano'n, pero dahil may batas, ang ginawa nila, tayo sila ng mga secret society, na underground talaga. They meet together, tapos gagawin nila magtitake lang ng alcohol. Tapos, maraming bahay noon, merong mga secret doors or compartment na nandun nakatago yung mga barrels of alcohol nila. Tapos, yun. So, kabaliktaran, no? The more na kina-curtail mo, the more na mas nagiging illegal at mas unsafe yung access sa alcohol. So, yun ang problema. So, that actually is one of the anchors of the researches that try to refute the war on drugs of our government. Yun ang problema. So, anyway, wala naman tayo magagawa kahit anong ibato nating research. Ako on my personal note, dapat wala nga yan, especially drugs. Pero dapat wala rin madadamay ng inosente. Yun lang yun. So, mahirap i-implement. Kaya ako, ang naiisip ko ngayon, it should not be from the government that the change should come. It should be within our families. Tayo-tayo na lang yung magpalaki ng anak natin na maging mabuting tao. May kaibigan ka, sabihan mo siya, uy, kailangan palaki yung anak mo na maging mabuting tao. May kakilala. Kayo-kayo na lang, the transformation should come from the people and the families. Kasi kung gobyerno yung hintay mo, wala. Magulo lang. Diba? Meron ba kayo ganong feeling? Ba't parang gulo-gulo nila, kami naman okay naman kami. May ganon ba kayong feeling? Parang there's this feeling of detachment already. Parang there is this government and the Facebook trolls. Tapos tayo, we are doing the review. Kasi we want to be mental health professionals. Kami na nagpapakahirap maging mabuting tao. Tapos kayo ang gulo-gulo nyo. Tapos pag magulo na kayo, tsaka kami papasok, ayusin namin kayo. Parang gano'n. I mean, bakit hindi, di ba? There's this feeling of detachment. Ako, I feel that. Parang okay naman tayo. Bakit sila ang gulo-gulo? Oh. Pero challenge yan sa inyo. Challenge yan. Dahil mental health professionals tayo. Wala tayong magagawa kundi tumulong. 47. What is the term used for programs that are intended to minimize the physiological changes associated with withdrawal from substances? Obvious na to. 47 is letter dog, detoxification. Ito yung binabanggit ko kanina. You need to decrease the effect of this withdrawal symptoms. 28. The physical and psychological changes that accompany discontinuation of Norse disease. Letter C, withdrawal. So, ang withdrawal symptom, hindi lang siya physical, pati psychological. Di ba yun nga yung isa sa idea about drug dependence or substance dependence, di ba? You have withdrawal symptoms, both physical and psychological. You also have tolerance to that substance. 49. Which of the following is the main feature of substance abuse? 49. Boy. Continued use of drug despite risks. Fetishism appears to develop in a way similar to exhibitionism in that letter B. Early life experience result in connection between the arousal and the behavior. So far, sa board exam, parang wala naman daw sexual disorders. Just be ready. 51. An individual was recurrent intense sexual urge, arousing fantasies, rubbing against another person. 51, letter C. How about in 52? The term that refers to the degree which person is erotically attracted to member of the same or other sex is A. Sexual orientation. Okay? So magkakaiba yung mga terms niya, sexual orientation, gender identity. So di ba nga ngayon ang dami ng polarities, no? Kumbaga ang sexuality ngayon parang personality na rin, may dimension. No? Isa sa mga dimension yung orientation mo. Sexual orientation. Yung isa is yung identity mo. Whether, ano ba ako, lalaki. Merong iba, okay, male ako, that's my identity. Pero ang sexual preference ko, male din. Pero hindi ako gay. Male pa rin ako. Pero iba lang ang gusto kong kasex. So they disentangle the gender element dun sa sexual act. Meron namang ibang gay na gusto pa rin nila ka-sex yung opposite sex or bi. Ganun. So, ang dami ng what's this? Dimensions. Yun. So isipin mo paano pagpapakilala mo yung sarili mo, o kung ilalanin mo yung isang tao. Ang dami mong tatanungin. Do you want to? Are you this? Do you prefer this? Parang as much as 4 dimensions. Kasi iba pa yung physical. Halimbawa, biologically male, pero nagpa-transform ka into female. Pero ang categorization mo sa sarili mo, gay ka pa rin. Pero bi ang gusto mong kasex. Sabi mo, what? Ano yung point? Male siya, pinanganak siya male. Nagpapalit siya, female na siya ngayon. Okay? Pero gay pa rin ang kanyang gender identity. At ang sexual preference niya, bi. Either male or female. Eh di ba ang common notion natin, kung male siya, gusto niya female, dapat lalaki ang gusto niyang kaharutan. Eh, hindi ganun. So marami komplikado na ngayon. So it's up to that person to define themselves. Okay? Anyway, choice naman nila yan eh. O, number 53. O. Ano yung dyspareunia? Okay? Ang dyspareunia, 53, letter dog yan. Dyspareunia is pain associated with sexual intercourse. Okay? So maraming causes ng dyspareunia. Hindi porket may dyspareunia, automatic, psychological na concern. Kasi for example, yung matatanda na, they have less lubrication, so masakit din ang intercourse. So that's a possibility. Yung letter C, ano yan? Involuntary spasm of the outer muscle of the vagina. Yan yung vaginismus. Okay? Yung namang letter O, iba na to. Iba na yung A and B. So, hindi na sila specific sa question. Okay? O, malinaw na. 54. A sexual behavior is considered a psychological disorder if it, 54, letter C, causes harm or distress already. 55. Which of the following is the key feature of paraphilia? 55, letter dog. How about in 56? Which disorder is characterized by discrepancy between an individual's assigned sex and his or her gender identity? The answer is letter dog, gender identity disorder. Especially if there is already dysfunction or there are other symptoms already, like may psychotic manifestation na. Dahil hindi lang niya maamin sa sarili niya, nag-gay siya o ganito. So, pwede yun. Gender identity disorder. Pero yung nalilito lang, whether they are male or female or whatever, hindi siya qualified for gender identity disorder. 57. A gradual deterioration of behavior occurs during late adolescence, suggesting that an individual is experiencing 57, letter A, prodromal signs of schizophrenia. Late adolescence, going early adulthood, or young adulthood, prodromal signs, pasimula pa lang. Okay. 15. Joyce believes that her heart is being eaten away by worms, a delusion that fits the category of somatic. 58, letter A. 59. 11-year-old Jonas Smith's character's poor use of grammar relative to the age, although he is able to understand speech of others. Ang problema nito 59 ay letter boy, expressive language disorder. 60. In explaining hypothesized cause or causes of ADHD, experts currently believe that 60, dog, tama. Biologically based, triggered by certain, so yung pinaka-kompletong sagot. Restless is stress pa rin. 61. The term used to describe behavior in which individual has bowel movements in inappropriate places is 61. A. Encopresis. 62. Vancer generally has no difficulty sitting still but cannot focus his attention, staying for long periods of time. Vancer might be diagnosed having A. Inattentive type, cannot focus. Proponents of which theoretical model say that people with bulimia translate society's attitude towards thinness into extreme restraints and rigid rules. 63. This is dog, cognitive behavioral. Okay? So the idea here is on how they view certain ideas or attitude about thinness. So, cognitive behavioral pa rin ito. 64. In order to be considered mentally retarded, so ang phrasing niya pag DSM-4-AR. Kasi sa DSM-5, intellectual disability. Pero same pa rin, the individual's IQ is what? 64, dog, less than 70. Number na tayo. 65. Children with blank mental retardation have very limited vocabulary, speak in 2 to 3 word sentences. IQ scores between 20 to 35, 65, letter C, severe. So please remember the ranges and both the IQ, so yung IQ is quantitative and then the qualitative is more on the activities of daily living to categorize what level of intellectual disability. Okay, and you know the specific signs and symptoms. So, for example, for mild, you know that this can be educated, they can still go on mainstream at least until grade 6, moderate until grade 3 at least. No, severe, probably they cannot go to school anymore, and then profound talagang custodial care. And the IQ ranges, please remember those. Some books will have overlaps in the IQ ranges. So you just check and familiarize yourself with these ranges. Pero mas ang simpleng clear-cut rule lang naman is For example, below 20, profound kayo. So 20 to 30 or 20 to 35, severe. So 35 to 45 or 35 to 50 or 35 to 55, moderate. So 55 to going to less than 70, yun yung mild. So kumbaga, tansya niya. Definitely a better question about the ranges will not include controversial ranges kasi may plus minus 10 pa yata or 5 yan eh. So, dapat napipiliin lang yung talagang at least gitna man lang para mahuhuli nyo yung tamang sagot. So far, parang wala akong narinig na feedback from the previous years na nagtanong specifically for the IQ scores. Pero it may, of course, that's a possibility. And most of the psychometricians will be dealing with these kinds of assessments. So, dapat meron yung ganito. Okay, 66. All of the following are groups of deficits in autism except 66. Least likely is letter dog. Diba? Kasi inattention is more on the ADHD and you know that this is relatively not the class. I mean, it's not diagnostic for this. So, mas common pa rin A, B, and C. 67. Dr. Block does not feel that she has the necessary resources to effectively treat Cindy's condition. She gave Cindy the name and the phone number of another clinician. So, ang ginawa niya ay letter B, referral. No? So, that's a common way. If you cannot treat this, you just refer. 68. Informing the client about the potential risks and benefits of therapy, confidentiality and its limits. The expected length of therapy is necessary so that the client, 68, provide informed consent. Okay. So dapat i-disclose mo lahat. Full disclosure of all the things. Kaya ngayon, binagin niya dami. Risk, benefit, confidentiality, benefits, etc. 69. Dr. Simons is being pressured by the local police department for information on one of his clients who is suspected of murder. Dr. Simons must be careful to remember the principle of 69, letter boy, privileged communication. Okay? So ano yung privileged communication na yan? So actually nakasulat yan sa batas ninyo sa RA 10029 that mental health professionals like you, psychometricians and psychologists, are bound by this principle, itong privileged communication. It's just simple as you cannot disclose information right there and then. Because the relationship and the information between between the patient and the therapist relationship are confidential. So kailangan ng court order before a certain information can be divulged. So kung pwede kayong tumanggi. So pag sinabi, ay, obstruction of justice po kayo, hindi po kayo nagsasalita. Privileged communication sa video. Okay? E tinutukan na kayo ng baril. Make sure na may CCTV sa paligid. Mahirap na. Maano kayo. Ma-EJK kayo. 70. The clinician's responsibility to notify a potential victim of a client's harmful intent toward the individual is referred to as 70, letter C. Duty to warn. Di ba na-discuss natin ito? Regarding the legal, mga legal concerns and issues. 71. When a clinician is called during court cases to provide specialized information not commonly known by people, expert witness, 71B. Itong 72, the legal principle that state that the state or the government has the authority to protect those who are unable to protect. 72, it's letter dog. Yan yung parents' patri. Now, sometimes people cannot give consent to themselves. So, lalo kung emergency na, o there is this issue of you need to provide safety for the people around. So, you can confine or you can give certain interventions by virtue of parents' patri. It could be the state or the government or whatever authority that will give consent to that person in the light of safety and security of everyone. Okay. 17. Which of the following legal test of insanity is based on the idea people should not be judged guilty if a mental disorder prevents them from knowing the difference between right and wrong? Letter A yan. Yan yung, ewan ko paano binibigyan sa Natten rule na yan. In 74, compared to the other forms of schizophrenia, people with LAMP show better cognitive emotional functioning, can hold a job, paranoid, 74A. So pag sa center, pag nakita niyo yung mga clients with schizophrenia, yung iba parang kala mo wala namang concern. Pero pag kinausap mo, doon mo maririnig lahat ng delusions nila. Yun yung mga paranoid paranoid type of schizophrenia. Pero yung talagang parang gulo-gulo yung buhok, yung mukhang Einstein na nasabugan ng nuclear, yan, either na-differentiated o yung mga disorganized type. Okay? 75. When a patient no longer has the disorder, an appropriate specifier will be recovered. Letter C. No longer has the disorder. It's recovered. Yung iba kala nila relapse, no? But with or remission, no? The concern is no longer have the disorder. But may schizophrenia, or you have depression, or you have bipolar, or you don't have a battery anymore like this one. So the qualifier will be remission. Namamanage, pero nandun pa rin. Like for example, bipolar disorder. They don't have the symptoms, they're back to normal, pero that's remission. Pero pag na-recover, like delirium, actually very little are in the DSM-5 na fully recovered. Delirium is one. Kasi you know that there are physical or bodily reasons for that. Kaya makabit ko lang to. Yung mga psychologist students na,
Wala nang ligla, sir. Ano ba to? Ayaw ko. Ako masira.
Yung mga psychologist students natin doon sa kabilang room they're also doing abnormal psychology lecture naman. With Dr. Delia. Sa inyo si Ma'am Mansokani na? Yung babae. Kasi si Dr. Delia, lalaki. Yun din sa inyo. Ay, babae. Dalawa kasi yan dalawa yung niro-rotate kong lecturer for outside. Okay, so number 76. Okay, a person who is miserable that he or she can see no reason for living best fits the definition of abnormality. Bigla bumalik tayo dun, no? 76 is letter. Relatively, the best answer here is letter boy, distress. 77. If a person experiences anxiety or depression following a significant natural disaster, ano to? 77? C. It's a typical reaction. 78. Developmental tasks are linked to psychopathology in that. 78. Letter B. A child's failure to successfully handle early development tasks can adversely affect you. So you know this explanation why psychopathology happens in a developmental way. 79. Which of the following conduct disorder children is most likely to grow out of the disorder? 79. No, remember, the earlier the onset, the poorer the prognosis. Diba? So the answer here is letter C. Okay. So pinagkaiba-iba nila onset, di ba? Pag sinabi most likely to grow out, ibig sabihin parang kinalakihan na nila, naging okay naman sila. Di ba? So the earlier the onset, di ba, poorer a prognosis. So probably the age 12 compared to 8 and 10 might have a better prognosis. So, ang hinuhuli sa number 79 is if you know the principles or the rule of thumbs in predicting prognosis or outcome. No? 80. Of the following persons who would meet DSM-4 criteria for mental retardation? The best answer, 80 is letter A. That's the best already. Kasi, ano naman siya eh, would meet the DSM-4 criteria. It's letter A, tama. Kasi letter B, hindi naman eh. Dahil wala siyang job, pero kaya naman niyang mag-take care ng sarili niya, 76 IQ. Yung letter C, 90 naman ang IQ, so okay lang. Si Aida, 68, though, of course, it's below 70, pero kung support naman niya yung sarili niya, wala naman siyang concern. So, hindi pa rin siya mag-meet sa mental retardation. It would be letter A, that's best. Kasi, huli-huli, IQ, pati adaptive functioning, lahat, pasok sa mental retardation or intellectual disability. Okay? How about in 81? Mr. M has severe mental retardation. Which of the following most likely to apply to him? So, ito mga recommendations na ito. Severe mental retardation, 81, A. Hindi pala recommendation ang hinahanap, no? It's more of the unexpected signs and symptoms. So letter A, simple speech, unable to read, requires assistance in basic life skill. Yung letter boy, yan ay mild. Yung letter C, most probably moderate na yan. Tapos yung letter dog, custodial care, 25 ang IQ. So, more of the profound. So, 20 or 25 below yan, profound yan. Depende na sa book or sa ranges na ginagamit. 82. Which of the following, or of the following, which best explains why bipolar disorder may be mistaken for schizophrenia? 82, letter A. Parehas pwedeng magkaroon. Kaya lang, sabi nga natin, to differentiate the two, we need to establish whether the mood concern is more core to the symptom compared to the schizophrenia or compared to the psychotic manifestation. So most of the time kapag may mood concern, you go to the bipolar diagnosis. Okay? 83. People with somatization rarely seek out psychotherapy voluntarily kasi C. Hindi naman nila malink yung emotional cause dun sa symptom. Walang self-awareness, walang insight. No? So yan ang concern. Hindi dahil sa wala silang pera, wala naman siguro sa magandang letter A. No? Wala kasing pera eh. 84. Each of the following disorder involves unexplainable medical symptom except A. Kasi sa letter A, sa hypochondriasis, meron physical symptom, okay? Pero na-exaggerate o nabibigyan ng ibang meaning or ibig sabihin or hindi nila ma-interpret ng tama. So, yun ang problema. 85. Depressed client being treated with cognitive therapy came to her weekly session while discussing progress. She mentioned that she had the highest grade in the class, but insisted this was only a fluke and that she really incompetent, blah, blah, blah. 85, A, minimization. Alam mo yung nag-succeed ka na, pero parang binaliwala mo pa rin dahil yung pa-humble, yung minsan may gano'n, meron ba kayong kilalang gano'n? Yung pa-humble na nakakainis. Yung dahil nagpapa-humble, parang lalo pang naging mayabang. Na may nakakainis yung ganun. 86. Mrs. YN was willing to attend her group therapy session because everyone there could hear all her thoughts. Exhibits the delusion called 86, A, thought broadcasting. While in 87, Mr. A has disorganized schizophrenia. Mr. B has major depression with psychotic features. Mr. C has schizoaffective disorder. Sino magkakaroon ng better prognosis? Okay, the answer will be letter 87, letter C. Si Mr. B yung mas may okay na prognosis. Okay. Kasi yung disorganized schizophrenia, talagang poor ang prognosis niyan. And then, the schizoaffective disorder is, of course, compared mo naman sa major depression, yung sa letter ko, yung kay Mr. B. Kasi yung psychotic features ng depression will somehow fade away at a certain period of time. Pero sa schizoaffective, talaga, sabay yan. Tapos later on, mas prominent pa yung psychotic features niya. So, between the two, it might be that the letter B has better prognosis. Given that all else is equal. I mean, given that this is the bite the book expectation. Okay? How about in 88? Schizophrenia usually has an onset of 88, letter C. Early 20s. 89. One similarity of those experiencing paranoid PD and those experiencing schizoid PD is that they tend to 89A. Pero yun nga, sabi ko nga sa inyo, the social withdrawal have different reasons. Okay? 90. The schizoid PD differs from paranoid PD because 90 letter dog. This is obvious naman, no? Dinidescribe lang nila yung personality disorder. How about in 91? Anxiety disorder is most common in young children. 91A, separation anxiety. 92, Jim's job involves taking elevator 35th floor. He's claustrophobic, creating serious problem. His therapist vividly describe people trapped in elevators, etc. 92, it's letter A, flooding. This is a behavioral technique wherein compared po doon sa systematic desensitization, sa systematic desensitization kasi dahan-dahan. Pero kapag sa flooding, sa bagsakan lahat ng stressful stimuli ibibigay. Okay. Sa systematic desensitization, pag takot ka sa gagamba, dahan-dahan yun. No? So una, magpapakita lang ng object na parang mga gagamba, tapos susunod, laro ang gagamba, susunod may gagamba lang, nasa garapon, malayo. Susunod, hahawakan mo na yung gagamba. Sa flooding, lalagay ka na lang sa lugar puro gagamba. Diba?